Hello, everyone. A warm welcome to the 10th episode of the Collaborative Minds. Wow, 10th episode. It's week number 10 since the journey has started. And look at all of you rock stars supporting us, being there for us all through the way. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for all your love, support, your feedback, your encouragement. Thank you so much. And as I started thinking about it, 10 weeks, uh, just a little while ago, this was just an idea. And what started as an idea became an initiative, and where so many people connected and so many possibilities came out. So, how everybody had a role to play. Alone, yes, you can get started, but to make it the kind of success that it is, everybody has a role to play. All of us make a difference. We truly do. And that's what we are going to talk about today in our very special episode with Mr. Kumar Jha. So let me introduce to you Mr. Kumar Jha. He's right here with us. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Good to be here.
Wonderful. So before we get started, as always, let me start with the introduction for Mr. Jha. Mr. Kumar Jha is a passionate advertising and marketing executive with over 20 years of experience. He has worked with brands like Citibank, Kmart, Integral Energy, Radisson Hotel, and Swiss Hotel, to name a few. He has immense interest in community service and has founded Opportunities Australia to provide people with free training and employment opportunities. Mr. Kumar also joined emergency services, marine rescue, and SES. He volunteers at charities like Winnie's, Tribal Warrior, and Wayside Chapel, which help the homeless. Mr. Kumar is also a council candidate for the city of Sydney. He has 2 master's degrees in advertising and public relations, information systems from UNSW and CQU Sydney. With that amazing introduction, I'd like to welcome you again to our 10th episode on the Collaborative Minds.
Thank you very much, Wanda.
It's an honor to have you with us today.
Absolutely. It's an honor to be here and talking to you. You're a very caring person, and it's great to have you on board with Opportunities Australia as well. And we are looking forward to working together with you.
Absolutely. I'm really excited about it. And I see that our viewers are joining in. Eduardo says hi. Hello, everyone. And please do drop in your comments. Let us know what are you excited about and what would you like to know. Please throw in your questions, comments, and we'll make sure that we get back to you. All right, so let's get started with our very first question. Mr. Jha, tell us more about your personal journey. How and when did you discover your passion towards the causes of homelessness and unemployment?
As I started my ad agency just around 7 years ago, I was working with a few CEOs and marketing directors, etc. And some of them were going to do the CEO Sleep Out, which is in collaboration with St. Vincent de Paul. And they invited me to join. So I was curious, and I went ahead and joined them. And that brought me the light of homelessness in Australia. When coming from India, we have seen a lot of homelessness there. But homelessness in Australia, being a developed country, that's a little hard to understand, but that is the fact. And as I speak, there are over 116,000 homeless people in Australia overall, and in New South Wales there are around 45,000 homeless people, and the numbers are increasing. So yeah, that is when I joined Winnie's, and since then I joined some other charities as well, and trying to work for them. And we are only scratching the surface. As I said, the number keeps on increasing. So got to empower people, we started Opportunities Australia, not just providing food to people, but we got to empower people so people can, get back on their feet, and they can, they can contribute into the economy, and they would no longer be homeless. So perhaps we could talk about that, in your further question.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for sharing that with us. It really is an eye opener. One thinks that, in developed countries, there might not be as many cases of homelessness or unemployment. And when you actually have the data in front of you, it's really an eye opener. And one thinks that what is it that I can do really, to make a difference. But as you mentioned, it's at least even starting, scratching the surface to begin with, and then taking it forward, because there is so much support and so much work that's required in these areas. So thank you so much for sharing your passion and actually spreading the word across and bringing it to notice of so many people and helping them or giving them ways to join in the cause.
Absolutely. I am really passionate about this thing, and every little step counts, and more and more people, as more and more people will get to know about this thing and get fired up about helping out these poor people, then we will continue to get stronger, and then we will get closer to eradicating. Eradicating seems, people say it's a difficult word to throw, but I am positive, and I look towards the best possible outcome, and that's what I work for. So as in Hindi, as we say, "Asman se gire khajur pet ke," right? So you aim for the skies, and you fall a little bit lower than that. So yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you. I love that attitude. And I see so many people are joining in and they're commenting and they're saying hello, hello to everyone. Thank you so much. Yes, everybody's excited about it being the 10th episode and having you on board. And all right. Wonderful. Thank you, everyone. Keep commenting. It's wonderful to read your comments and say hello to you. So moving on. Now, having worked closely with the homeless and the unemployed, what, as per you, is their biggest challenge?
It's a very difficult question. People become homeless for various reasons. Challenge could be communication. People, ethnic people come from overseas, like say Africa or so, and because they can't communicate in English properly, it's very difficult to get a job, and it's very difficult to get sympathy from people because it's hard for you to communicate. Then mental health, out of those homeless people, probably 70-80% would be needing mental health support. And Australia used to provide support, like there were hospitals, before looking after these people. But around 4 decades ago, government tried to cost cut, and they shut down all these hospitals, etc. So now it comes down to organization like Winnie's Wayside Chapel, etc. Government does a little bit, but obviously it's not enough. So there's a lot of support, and also, firstly, Australia likes to, it looks after itself, right? People, Australians come first. So when it comes to ethnic people, they come second. That is a core fact here. So, and also, as I said, communication is another thing. So, yeah, there are various reasons, that set them behind, from communication to mental health to the biases that we have in the societies, if you know what I mean. People are judgmental, and based on that, there are so many people who are very well, smart people, and they can't find proper jobs. You would have seen plenty of people like driving taxis who are well qualified, who would have a master's degrees or so. But it's very hard for them to get a job, and it's very easy to slip from those stages, like even driving a taxi, something, to becoming homeless. There were some international students at the time of COVID who became homeless as well. So yeah, there are so many. If I continue giving you the reasons, there would be so many out there. Australia has to work with ethnic communities, etc. and give everyone a chance, like Prime Minister loves to say, like give everyone a fair go. And I really hope that he does mean that one day. So yeah, a fair
Wow.
go.
There go. Thank you for bringing forward the challenges. Because as you mentioned, one thing's that you're going to a developed country, and you're going to the land of opportunities, and there's so much that you're going to go and create a new life out there, which is true as well. It's not that it doesn't happen, but everyone has their transition phase, and it is challenging. Everyone knows that finding the right job, even though you have a master's degree back where you're coming from, but having the kind of having some local experience or some local education to back you until that time, how you are able to cope in the meantime, what kind of networking you do, what kind of contacts you make, what kind of opportunities you get. There's so much that goes on in between while you land your first job and are able to have a foothold. And what happens during that time, because I always wonder that especially the ones who are underprivileged have so much of hunger in them, and they really want to serve.
Mm-hmm.
Yet it is so easy to lose on the hope. What happens when they lose on the hope and they're not able to keep that the hunger to work, or the hunger to make a really good life. It's so easy to be here and then go over there.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you to all the work. And as you mentioned, there are these private organizations. The government is doing its bit, but there are also these private organizations who are coming together and bringing people together and doing as much as they can. And the prime takeaway from our session and our discussion here today is that for all our viewers who are watching, that all of us can make a difference in a way when we want and we decide to. So thank you for bringing forward those challenges.
No worries.
And okay, there's already a question here that can you tell some statistics of homelessness in Australia at the outset? I think you started with that, but yeah, please go ahead.
Well, as I said, there are over 116,000 homeless people as we speak, and New South Wales has got over 45,000 of them. People are based in country region as well, and the number continues to rise. And the number has really picked up in the past 4 decades, as I mentioned, when the hospitals were closed down in order to save the budget, save money. Yeah, and it's very bad, and it doesn't look like they are going to restart those mental health facilities anytime soon. Yeah.
I mean, it takes people to come together. And during COVID, we are hearing so much of mental support being provided, especially when they're anticipating that there's been a lot of impact on the mental health as we go through the pandemic. So who knows? As you mentioned, we have the positive, keeping in mind the positive, having a positive mindset and keeping in mind the positive outlook. Maybe that change will happen, and everyone will get that fair go.
Absolutely. I mean, positivity is very important, but I think the most important thing for people to not be like, a best remedy towards this is creating job opportunities. And I think further to that, I would like to say, made in Australia, that would be a great initiative. We had only one car that used to be made in Australia, Holden. They stopped producing cars not long ago, and production for lots of things, parts, etc., for motors, and so many things, even grains or clothes, etc. They all come from overseas. And at times like COVID, where all the international borders were closed, whole thing was disrupted, and that made us think is like we cannot rely 100% or close to on imports. And that really hits the Australian people. So there are Australian farmers who would be growing wheat or barley, etc. Of course, Australian wages are a bit high, so they will have to sell that at a fair rate or at a higher rate in comparison to Indonesia or any other country. We are buying say rice for $1 a kilo or $2 a kilo, right? We are just used to it, and we are buying T-shirts for $2 to $5 from Kmart, right? Someone suffers somewhere, even if that's produced in Bangladesh. So, there is child labor. There are so many people who are living on like dollar a month of a wage. Someone suffers somewhere. So it's about equality. It's about fair pay for even when you get things done, even when you're importing things from overseas. And also, probably it would be a good time to consume Australian products. Whether it's food or motor parts, like any of those things. And by having that, you'll be creating a lot of job opportunities. So for me, I think that would be a catalyst to open up lots of roles. And then we have lots of graduates who are looking for job opportunities. And people, waste away. Like, say, for example, someone has done a degree in, say, arts or even worse, engineering, and then they can't find job in the field, and they end up driving taxis or delivering pizza for the rest of their lives because they are married, they have kids, so they have responsibility, and they can't afford to wait around and look for the right opportunities. And one of the reasons they can't get into the right jobs is because of the communication, lack of communication, proper Australian accent. Like how funny is that, or how sad is that you must have very close to good Australian accent, unless you're a doctor or somebody, like even if you don't have proper accent, it's okay, you're a doctor, because not everyone is a doctor up here. It's a difficult journey to be a doctor. So, okay, I mean, they can speak a little bit English with the accent, and that's fine. But for standard jobs like marketing or accounting, etc., it's very difficult for people to land job in the fields, even after doing the studies here in Australia. You're talking about people doing the studies overseas. I mean, people who finish their studies here in Australia, they also struggle big time.
Yeah.
So based on that, I mean, as Opportunities Australia, we will be upskilling those people, and English would be, a major part of it. And besides that, people train in whatever field, like marketing or say accounting, etc. They need to be job ready. University doesn't make you job ready. So there would be qualified people, VPs, etc., who we have from different corporate world. They will come down and they will train these people, make them job ready. And another aspect, as I was saying, job market can be judgmental. So our aim is people don't judge us, and big corporates, form partnerships with us. And as I speak, some of them, they have already, like Deloitte or Atlassian or Salesforce, Master Home. So they would look at us with care, and every CV that we forward from Opportunities Australia, they would take care of it, and they would hire those people without any judgments. So. And that's the kind of relationship we would like to develop, strengthen, and go from there.
Wow, that's amazing information. And I see there's so many people commenting out here, and they're really, loving the information that they're receiving. And there's some questions too. We'll get back to the questions in a bit. But what you discussed here and what you brought forward, creating local job opportunities, and also the mindset of people. There's so much work that's required around the mindset of the job seekers or the people who are looking for jobs. As you mentioned, that they settle in jobs which don't justify what their education stands for, and kind of, once they get there, and with all the things that life has to throw towards them, they never go back. It impacts in a big way. They never go back to trying what they originally, what they originally set out for. So it's also providing them with the skills and the right mindset to approach and not feel that they don't belong or not feel that they're not worthy.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It crushes people's dreams. Say, for example, you did a degree, let's keep it simple. You did a degree in arts. Like, say, you wanted to be a historian. It's one of the worst example I'm giving you here. And you can't find job here. And, you're working as, say, for example, a cleaner Once again, a worst example there is you couldn't find any job as a historian working at a museum or so, and you're working as a cleaner, and you continue doing that. Guess what happens to your morale? You have no morale, and you're down for the rest of your life. And what happens if you get married? You have a partner, you have your kids, and what happens to their morals, right? So it's a chain, and it's a chain reaction.
Right.
It's not good at all. Hence, I say, it's very important to work in the fields that you're really passionate to work in. And actually, there is a data from Deloitte, Queensland, that one of my staff has come up with, is 27% of people, definitely in Queensland and in Australia, say, who cannot find work in their own fields. At least 27%. So it's like a quarter of the workforce is not working in the field what they have studied. That's alarming, I would say.
That is alarming indeed. Yeah.
So Australia relies on international students. They charge them, a hefty fee, etc. Even domestic students as well. I mean, as I mentor, get students from UNSW and some other organizations, I get to deal with lots of domestic students as well who cannot find jobs in their own fields. Not to mention the people who are stuck in the ruts of the dole queue. There are people who are living on Centrelink. The generations of people who have been living on Centrelink, day in, day out. I actually hang out with them this morning. I went to Redfern. I do boxing with the charity Travel Warrior. And they attract people from all walks of life, especially Redfern, those housing commission towers. A lot of people come up there. And a lot of people, kids and, those adults, they are just living on dole. There's no motivation or anything. There's no education. I met with a girl yesterday, on Wednesday. She said, she's 27. She hasn't even finished up school, working a bar. But still had a little bit of motivation to do something. When I said, I formed this charity to help people out, upskill, etc., her eyes really opened. And she said, I definitely want upskilling, and I definitely want to, get somewhere. Working in a pub just kills me. And rightly so. So not only that we would like to work with students and ethnic communities who have come up here with qualifications or without qualifications, but we would also like to work with the locals, who have been stuck in this rut, and have lost the hope, motivation, etc. And they think it's okay to live a life like that. No, it's not okay. You have no dreams. You have no motivation. You wake up, maybe on times like boxing, you wake up early, but where are you going to spend your day? Nowhere. It's very sad. But, Travel Warrior brings in hope to this program. And that's when, us people come in and we try to rejuvenate a bit of hope. And, we work in this mentorship program to, bring people to life and try to get them some opportunities.
Right. I mean, that's so powerful. The word hope, everyone wants to hold on to hope. If there's a ray of hope, everybody has that light within them. It's, if they don't see them, if there are organizations like Opportunities Australia, which is able to help them see that there is light within them and it can shine bright. There is all of that possibility that you can make it happen for you. So spreading that awareness, giving them that amount of education that it is possible for them, is really key here. So thank you for sharing that. Now, moving on to our next question. So establishing an organization like Opportunities Australia, I imagine it takes a lot of collaboration. So what, as per you, is the key mindset when it comes to collaboration?
Be open to collaboration, really. I mean, we cannot win by ourselves. My collaboration begins with bringing all the mentors who are volunteers, and also, partners, board members, and then business partners. There are so many collaboration happening, because just one person can't do it. So it's all about trusting. It's all about sharing your dream. It's all about getting people to realize as to what is required in this communities. Like it's very easy for people to lose focus. They got a decent job, they got a family, they live in a nice house, right? People can very easily forget things, and they can live in their bubbles. So sometimes we gotta make them realize is, world is not as rosy as they think it is. The world that they live, in. People might be living in Point Piper, which is the richest suburb of Sydney for sure. But that's where previous Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull lives. Though his political view, I don't align with all of that. However, he's a bit of a charity-minded person. So in the past, I've heard he gave 50 million to Wayside Chapel, and he comes for Christmas lunch out there, serving Christmas lunches to homeless people. So it's a good thing, right? So people living in the bubbles, but they still have an understanding that collaboration is the key, and there are plenty of people who are doing it tough. So yeah, they have they have a lot of wealth, so they share some of the wealth. And same thing here. We haven't received much wealth as a charity as yet, as we are in the business for around 5 months only. But the partnerships that we have, the partners that we have, come on board, like Deloitte or Salesforce, etc. I mean, it's amazing. I feel myself lucky here, and I am very glad that these companies look at us as a great opportunity to serve the communities, so they can help the communities out via Opportunities Australia. So it requires a lot of negotiations and a lot of a lot of tours and fros. But I'm very glad to see it happening. So far, we got 22 mentors and some companies.
Wonderful. And thank you for stating it so simply. The mindset of collaboration, what's required, just be open to it. It's as simple as that.
It's
just
as simple.
As simple, just be open to it, be willing to. And as you mentioned, people really do want to help. People do want to help. It takes that one person to bring in that passion and showing the way that there is this possibility that can be done. As you mentioned, it's easy for others to forget when they're living in their bubble. But there's this one person or one organization which is constantly doing the work, sending the reminders, or getting them to know that there's so much work required here. Then people have ways to contribute and to belong.
Absolutely.
And feel like they're serving the community, because as they say, we all want to fill our cups. We want to do the best that we can do. If you're doing that towards your family, towards yourself, if you've already filled that, the only way to get more motivation is to empty that cup, to actually serve the community. So you empty it and then you refill it with some more motivation. So thank you for sharing that. Moving on, because you mentioned trust, and it's one of my favorite topics. What, as per you, is the key aspect to connect with someone and to establish that safe environment or the place of mutual trust?
How do you form trust? It's an interesting question. You give. You don't expect things in return. That's a very good way of, that's one of the ways of forming trust, right? And as a charity, we don't worry about taking, we worry about giving. So when you give unconditionally, people see that, love is coming out, and, people are eager to help you without actually wanting, as, like as a surprise, it's, there is no catch or anything. I think that's a catalyst of trust. And being nice to people. It's not very difficult to be nice to people. And when I was saying, when having so much work like the XPM, and, distributing it to people. So sharing, sharing is caring. And when you care passionately, that's when trust builds. And trust builds with consistency, right? We were talking about that before. You just do things day in, day out, and people would notice and people would know by you, and they would start to trust you, as long as, I mean, nothing goes wrong. Yeah, you got to do things from your heart. Yeah, I mean, if I want to say serve the homeless communities, I go out, I go out to say, the places that I go to, like Travel Warrior, Wayside Chapel, etc. And you go a few times a week, and people will see you. People will get help, and they say thank you to you, and you do that quite a few times, and they start to trust you. I've got kids out there in the boxing program who I have been seeing for 1 year now. We know each other's name. We know what people get up to during weekends. We know where people live, etc. And doing boxing, we have like every day, we would have probably 50, 60 people doing it. And there's always an opportunity to go to another person after doing training with one mentor for, say, 5 minutes. And sometimes the kids don't want to go to another, they just want to continue with me. So some sort of trust has formed over time. And this is so lovely to see. So, it's very difficult to point out, like, what are the catalysts to build trust, but it's just be honest. I think honesty, as people say, honesty is the best policy, right? So you can't have two faces. You just have one face. You don't like someone, like if someone has done something wrong, you got to tell them rather than, keeping two faces. So, yeah, we are out there trying to help people out. So this morning I had a tough discussion with a little kid. He said, like, I'm pushed to get here. I said, there are so many positive things to look into. Like he's a little bit chubby. I say, you can get fit, being here. There's a big social circle to be had. What is there to not like about it? And he said, no, I don't like it. I'm being forced to come here. So, I just had an honest conversation with him. And we went on for, say 5 minutes talking about things. And towards the end, he was like, he didn't have any more ammunitions to throw at me. It's like, I am being forced to come here. No, you're not being forced. It's such an opportunity. Sometimes opportunity knocks on your door and you think this is noise. That's so sad. So you have to make people understand that this is opportunity. It's not a noise.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. And again, so simply said, it's the honesty. It's being authentic. And I love this, the common message that's been coming since first week. I keep asking the question around trust, and the common message is it's more about the doing. It matters more on what you do, not what you say. So your action.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, officially, I'm also a politician, right? So politicians will give you rosy words, right? And they wouldn't do much. So it's very important to do the things rather than saying. Who cares about saying? And lots of times people come back to me saying, like, Kumar, you're doing it. I mean, whatever, good on you. It's very important to do things. Don't even bother about saying it.
Yeah. And people to see that your actions are being noted, and it's not just the action, it's again the consistent action. It's showing up again and again. It's doing the do. It's letting people see what you really care about, as you said, caring and loving unconditionally, and just sharing because you come from a place of passion and there's nothing else. So that shows, that reflects in everything that you do, which builds the trust eventually. So we've got lots of likes and comments here. I'll just bring in a few comments.
I mean, I remember that, I got probably 50 cousins. My father were 9 brothers and sisters. And then after, my mother would have probably 5 brothers and sisters altogether. There would be over 50 cousins. And majority of time, these guys will only ring each other when they need something, which is unusual for me. Even though I live this far, but, every now and then I reach out to people, and people reach out to me as well. It's not very difficult to care for people. It's not very difficult to pick up the phone, say hello, and ask how you are. Like these days, as you walk around in Sydney, you would see the ad, ask, are you okay? It's not so difficult. We are so distracted watching TV, Netflix, on our phone, blah, blah, blah. um, and we are so connected, but we are so disconnected,
So true.
right?
That's such an important statement. In a world today, we are so connected, yet we are so disconnected. I mean, and that's primarily again the reason why we started this show. That you still have to realize that there's power in connection. There's power in collaboration, and you can use technology for the betterment of humanity. It's possible. And another point that I forgot mentioning earlier to what you were discussing about your discussion with the little kid today morning,
Mm.
that especially the generation today, the people that I have worked with as well, the generation today really wants to understand objectively what are the reasons, why something is important more than how and what. They really want to know why, and if you're able to give a convincing answer to that, they're sold. But they need to know there is a different need for the generation today, the Gen Z and the Gen X. They have this need to know why something is important, which is also good. And
Of
more and more
course.
people are going out there and explaining why.
Yeah, whys are the most. I challenge the status quo all the time. It's like, things are happening throughout. I don't want to get into the religion side of things, right? I ask why. Why do you have to do that? Why do we do things certain ways? India, like we are Indians, right? Us Indians do things in a very certain way.
Mm-hmm.
And then we come to developed countries like this, and, like we don't see much of those practices over here. And then you can perhaps take a few steps back and look at the culture and think like, why are those people doing things that certain way for generations, centuries, right? A very good documentary I saw from Simon Reeves. He's a BBC journalist, and he showed a footage. He went to India and he recorded a thing, and in which he talked about the temples and temples versus schools in India. A very beautiful comment, or very insightful comment he cited was, India has got so many temples. Like everywhere you go, like no shortage of temples. Throw a stone at the back and, it would land on a temple. But not many schools. And here we are, the literacy rate of India, right? It's not that great. In the villages, etc., it's very hard to see the schools. And schools might be primary or so, and the funding won't be right. Politicians, they don't want the people to be very well educated, so they can make an informed decision. It's very thought through, with all that has happened. So many temples and not enough schools.
No, and as you mentioned, knowing the reasons behind why some things are the way they are, and then questioning what can be done about it, and what is it that I can do with the, with the capacity that I have, is something that we need to all start with. And as you mentioned, the why is important, the purpose is really important. Why and what is it in it for you, and why is it that you want to contribute? And starting from that place on.
In my childhood, what I saw, as I said, my father were 9 brothers and sisters. They opened a charity. So I saw my first round of the taste of charity was from my family. And they started a school and a hospital. So one of my uncle was a surgeon. So he donated his time. Then after, everyone donated their money. And it was a free school and a hospital in a poor village in Bihar. So that's what I grew up seeing. So we try to do a little bit, over there. And then people moved to Delhi. But yeah, and then here I am. I've lived in Australia for around 17 years now. So just picking up the game here.
There you go. And if you've seen this, you're exposed to it already, 2 generations again, and the values stay. The values, I believe, stay with people, and you can continue on the journey and start creating a change, and the ripple effect shows. So thank you for sharing that. And I know there are a lot of questions I'm going to start taking, but I have one last question for you. What has been your biggest learning since you embarked on this journey?
It's like there's so much work to be done, and I'm only scratching the surface. There are so many people out there who require help. So something that I've learned is I don't know enough. And there's so much to learn and so much collaboration to be had, and a lot of lives to be transformed. I know it might not be the best answer, but this
No,
is
it's
what I
beautiful.
think.
It's beautiful. Thank you for like being here and accepting that, because that's true. There's so much to be learned. Knowing if one says that I've known everything, I know everything, then where's the point to grow? I mean, there's no place to grow. So
Yeah,
saying that, this exposed you to that there's so much work to be done, there's so much to be learned, and there's so much more to collaborate and contribute. Thank you for sharing that. And these are the kind of standards that we need to have for ourselves to keep growing and keep contributing. So
yeah.
thank
I mean,
you.
yeah, as you know, that I came from, a monoculture. Every day, eating the same food, speaking the same language. There wasn't much growth, though there was growth, but there wasn't much growth. But when you come to a developed country like this, where you get to interact with people from the world and you get to pick, the best from the world, well, that's when we are talking. There's so much to learn from those people, and I always try to learn from the best. Always had some great mentors and great friends, all nice people around me. And those are the people who made me. So I can't be, thankful enough. I remember playing chess with an engineer friend of mine who would be like 15 years older than me. Great mentor. He would say, Rocky is my surname. Sorry, Rocky is my nickname. So Rocky, would you like to play chess? And he would have this, expression on his face, like, I definitely, I so would love to play chess with you, besides doing anything else. So I said, okay, come over. I had a chessboard. And yeah, we would sit for hours playing chess and sharing stories. He was from South Africa. So a white guy from South Africa who came to Australia probably 30 years ago, and yeah, lived here, yeah, ever since. Yeah, we shared lots of great stories, and he taught me quite a lot of things. So did my ex-partner and so many great friends.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that again. I mean, it's so important to connect with people who were, finding activities to do. It's really important to surround ourselves with people who motivate us, who inspire us, and feeling that gratitude. The way you expressed it, feeling that gratitude towards people who from we've learned. That's such an important value to have, because the more you're grateful, the more reasons you find to be grateful for. That's truly worked for me, and I know that it has worked for people. So thank you again for sharing that with our audience today. So now it's time I'll just start taking questions, because I saw early on in the session itself there were a lot of questions. So guys, please let us know if you have any more questions. We'll try to address as many as we can in the time that we have. Otherwise, we'll get back to you later. So I'll go on to the very first one from Anita. She's curious. She says, "What steps are you or your organization taking to eradicate homelessness, and how do you envisage the sustainability and continuity of your initiatives?"
We are a small organization, and as I mentioned, that we are upskilling and finding people employment. So we aren't doing that in a bigger number as yet. We are only establishing, but we are training people in the fields of hospitality, construction, IT, finance, marketing, and English. These are some of the trades we are upskilling people in. And then trying to find employment for people as well as internships. So this is going to be an ongoing thing. And, I hope I will do this for the rest of my life. And so would, some other people who have come on board, and our number will continue to grow. And this will create sustainability. I mean, like, I have worked with charities who distribute food, to the poor people. I think there is so much more to be done besides just giving food, because food is a little bit of a hope, but that doesn't make people get back on their feet. It's very important for me. It's very important for them. It's very important for the tax department, the economy, for the people to get back on their feet. Not to mention the morale side of things, which is so important for people. So I think getting people job ready and finding them employment would work towards sustainability and, well, continuity, yeah, being persistent towards it. Is there anything I missed?
No, that's a beautiful answer. And what I felt is that the sustainability part of it, the people who get the advantage through the program,
Mm.
through the organization, they automatically do feel that they would want to do something. So that creates that sustainability as well. Once they've experienced it, they would want more people to experience it, and it creates that ripple effect around.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. As I was saying to you, that people, some of the people coming from housing commission, and they don't have motivation, and then they have kids who also won't have motivation or don't have motivation, and then they would have kids as well. They won't have
Mm.
motivation. So there are generations of people who are relying on this government money, government handout, and they are not motivated. There's no sustainability, and all of these lives, I would say, are getting wasted.
Mhm.
Australia is not a 1 billion population country. We only have what, 25 million, so we only have limited people. So we might as well make the best of everybody. Once we make everyone a hero, it's like, you were talking about the ripple effect. So
Yeah.
empower everybody, empower, say, Tony and Mary, and, they will go back to their kids, and, they will empower them, and they will have kids, and, they will do that, and they will have friends and family, everything, so it is, yeah, that chain reaction.
It
And
is.
we better take charge in whatever position we are to help our communities. You don't need to start a charity to help the communities.
So true. Thank you for sharing that. And we'll take one last question from Mr. Vijay Srivastava. He says, mental health is likely to be a cause for homelessness. Can it be the effect too?
An effect for homelessness. Of course, it is a cause, but yeah, I mean, when you become homeless, yeah, that has. Well, I mean, they become mentally ill. Is that what they are saying?
So mental health is likely to be the cause for homeless. So a lot of
Yeah,
people who do experience issues with their mental health,
yeah,
experience homelessness.
yeah.
And it's the other way around as well. The people who become
Are
homeless,
homeless that they become mentally.
yeah.
Of course, it's a no-brainer. Sadly, that is the truth.
Mm,
As I was saying earlier, that around 80% of homeless people, um, they are suffering. They are mentally ill, and
mm,
plenty of young people also who are struggling to get jobs. As I mentioned earlier, that some international students, they became homeless. Um, they were just normal the other day, right? And having so much pressure, sleeping on the street and all. And just imagine doing that in winter. Um, Going out at night, trying to see around King's Cross area and Martin Place, just opposite, just outside the Parliament. This is such a shame that over 50 people. Actually, there was a fight. Lots of people would have noticed that, would have seen this news. It's like probably a year ago, there was fight between the mayor from Sydney, city of Sydney, and the premier of New South Wales to deal with the homeless people who were sleeping outside the Parliament. There were over 50 people. They were sleeping on an ongoing basis because they didn't have a proper arrangement.
mm,
And premier say, "Oh, that's a disgrace. Kick him out. Kick them out from the park in front of the central station." They were removing the belongings of those people and kicking them out outside the Parliament, etc. But where to place them?
mm,
So I believe the mayor is more motivated, and mayor wanted a permanent solution, but the premier wasn't ready to.
mm.
So how do you deal with that? And going back to the last point is, of course, like, you can be normal. I am normal right now, and just imagine it's winter, and I'm forced on the streets. I have no money to pay the rent, and I have no money to eat. I mean, like, within 2 days you just drop like this. Mental health doesn't take long to really get negative, get depressed. I have a
Absolutely.
nurse, actually. I have a good friend who's a nurse who was perfectly fine last week, and just tells me yesterday, like, not feeling well, and speaking to a psychologist, a person who's got a job and all. So you never know. It's a very delicate area, mental health.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for the question, and thank you for sharing the answer. It's And that's why it's so important to be aware of your mental, emotional, physical health, and seeking out, being really conscious of what's going on there, and seeking out for help as need be, reaching out to people, because there are people and there are facilities available. So, helping yourself by reaching out to them for support. So
Yeah,
thank you. Yeah.
Beyond Blue is there for mental health support.
Yeah.
That's a company I can think of. Salvos are there, Vinnies are there. So there are some established companies. And I don't really know what Are You Okay does, but you see a lot of ads of them. I'm sure they do something. So there are some bigger charities, and actually, sadly, that's where a lot of money from the government goes as well. Because when we reached out to the communities minister, he said all of our monies are dedicated to the bigger charities, and we got no money for the new charities out there.
Actually, I
So
was thinking this question, but I thought, you just mentioned the point, and there's a question around it that, without sufficient and continuing flow of funds, it would be difficult to sustain your efforts. So it is a challenge, as you mentioned, that how do you go about it?
the army of volunteers. Um, when the bushfire happened, right? You know, the infrastructure was pretty bad, with RFS, but the whole world started to contribute. So when there's passion, the people of the army of volunteers and every single public, every single person would start to contribute. And that will bring in the thing. So far we got, as I was saying, 22 volunteers so far. We can train people. We don't need, like, we don't need anything more than those people to train. I mean, these days training can happen over Zoom. We also get training center discount rate, almost 100% from the councils. But yeah, it is challenging. However, there are ways to get around it. And having said that, I mean, like, I'm hopeful that we would get some of the grants and funds from the communities.
Absolutely. Thank you for that wonderful answer yet again. Thank you for gracing us with your presence today and sharing your views and sharing the reality of what the world, different kind of realities that exist around us, whether we want to see them or not, but they do exist there. And sharing the message that truly all of us can contribute and make a difference. So thank you so much for this wonderful conversation.
It's funny that as I speak to you, I have a calendar invite from Vinny's. Vinny's See You Sleep Out on 17th of June 21. It just came from them right now. So
Okay.
yeah, I am meant to attend that as well. It's in June, but here they are. They have sent me an invitation now, so they blocked that in, and yeah, I hope that's a good one. And I hope in the meantime we get to help out. We get to empower a lot of people before. It's about, like, when do you help people? You help after something has happened, like after a catastrophe like that has happened, or you actually help them out before they come to that stage, right? I want to help people before, so they actually collapse to that stage. It's like normal people. So in normal people who are going through a bit of rough patch, like unemployment, so to speak, international students or domestic students or migrants, etc. Like, it takes a few weeks or months before someone goes onto the street, right? That's the reality. So we want to grab the opportunity just then and there, and hopefully with our positive networking, positive relationship with all the brands and communities, we would be able to just deliver an opportunity right in time. So a person doesn't need to go through those mental health issues and become homeless. It's so important.
It is important. And what you mentioned, doing that right in time, taking those steps right in time. So thank you again. Thank you for sharing all that you did. Thank you to our audience who were there with us live today on the show, and to all those who are going to see the recorded version. I'm sure you're going to enjoy a lot and learn a lot. And please do feel free to share your comments and your feedback or your questions, and we'll make sure that we get back to them. So thank you once again, and we'll see you next week with another episode. Till then, if you need any assistance with looking for jobs or help with your mindset for connection or collaboration, please do feel free to reach us out. Once again, thank you so much.
Thanks very much for having me, Vandana, and thanks for listening to us. And I hope we get to empower some more people to come on board and help those communities out. You don't need to join our charities. You don't have to, but as long as you're helping a person who is suffering, I forgot to mention that helping people gives you the best feeling. You don't get any better feeling than this, but by helping. Look at the eyes of people when they say thank you to you. When you buy a hungry person a meal, things like that. So yeah, thank you very much for having me.
The pleasure is all mine. Thank you again.
All right, bye.